From chocolate to burgers to mozzarella, come and discover the secrets of how your favorite foods are made. Take a look at how these foods are made in factories. Are you used to eating cashews? And how? You will answer me. You may be eating them as we speak, but do you know how they got to you? You are suddenly curious to know. Well, you'll be surprised to discover that cashews are not picked from their trees the way we eat them. So open your eyes and ears and discover all the steps these fruits go through before they land in your bag. Cashew nuts come from Asia, mainly from Vietnam and India, where the first trees, cashew trees, were planted and brought from Brazil by the Portuguese. Once the cashew apples fall to the ground after maturity, they are separated from the nuts. The nuts are then dried and steamed, which helps to reduce the anacardic acid in the shells and loosen the seed inside. The nuts are dried again before being shelled, usually using a handmade machine with a manual press to separate the shells from the kernels. The latter are then dried on racks or in an oven, peeled to remove the film that covers them, sorted according to their size, and finally, packaged. Is your curiosity satisfied? Perfect. You feel exhausted by all the steps you have just discovered, right? Then tell yourself that it was well worth it to know a little more about these fruits. You'll definitely think about it the next time you eat them. Now I'm going to tell you about a little grape that lived happily in its vineyard. This little fruit fed and gorged itself on the sun to ripen. One day, instead of being picked, it was kept under the sun. It spent more time under the rays, making the most of the heat it needed. It ended up changing him completely. Once beautiful, round and green, it became shriveled, brown and crumpled. Do you think this change made him feel bad? Well, no, because the adventure was just beginning for him. After the little grape had changed its appearance, it was harvested, stored, cleaned of stalks and other impurities, grated and carefully washed with water. Then it was given a final check before being packed. And there you have it. It is ready to be eaten. Do you like this video? Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive all the notifications and not miss anything of our next publications. Let's continue. Now you're ready to enjoy a nice roast chicken, but you'd like to know how far it got to your table. A question that needs an answer. You're racking your brains but can't figure it out? Then take a look. All those machines that don't stop and those chickens that parade by hundreds. Then you put your thigh down and take a virtual tour of this chicken cutting plant, as if you were there. These chickens go through a process that includes many steps. Once slaughtered, plucked and, of course, eviscerated, the chickens are checked for defects such as bruises, broken wings or tears in the skin, etc. Then comes the cutting if they are not intended to be sold whole. And throughout this process, they are subjected to a treatment that kills bacteria, while preserving the quality of their flesh. All that's left to do is to package them. You have just obtained the answer to your question. You're getting dizzy after watching this long process. What you have learned about that good leg you are tasting has only whetted your appetite even more. Chewing gum. The manufacturing process is the same for this product that we almost all consume. You've just pulled one out of your pocket and you look closely at the composition. You don't understand much about it, do you? Your curiosity drives you to want to know more. Why not? You want to know how your gum is made. Let's go. Come with us to this factory and find out. It all starts with the gum base, which is prepared by mixing a few components, food, of course, in a large mixer until the temperature reaches about 98 degrees Celsius. Then other ingredients are added, such as sugar, flavors and coloring agents, etc. After all these ingredients are well mixed, the resulting dough is passed through an extruder machine to emerge in the form of thicker or thinner strips. These strips are then passed through a rolling mill where they are flattened and cut into bars or pellets before being packaged. And that's it. You have just discovered all the secrets of chewing gum production. You can imagine yourself chewing all the contents of this dough. It's a funny feeling in your jaw, isn't it? Well, you're relieved to know that chewing gum is actually edible. Now, with everything you've learned about chewing gum, you won't be afraid to chew a little bit once in a while. If there's one other confection you probably don't know about, it's chocolate. So sit back. I'm sure you're dying to know where all those chocolate bars and filled candies you love come from. You'll be a little surprised to learn that chocolate has had a long journey to get to you. Starting with a tree, the cocoa tree. That's right, you are quite interested in knowing the next steps, aren't you? Well, the pods, which are the fruits of the cocoa tree and contain the cocoa beans, are picked and harvested, then split to extract the beans. The beans are fermented in vats at a temperature of 40 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius so that they can release their full aroma and get rid of some of their bitterness. After drying in the sun, they are sent to the chocolate factory. There, they are roasted, then ground and finally mixed with other ingredients such as sugar, milk powder and other components, in vats called conches. The conking stage is followed by tempering, which gives the chocolate its shine, appearance and texture. All that remains is to put the chocolate in molds and cool it down. And that's it. Our chocolate is ready. Now you know all the steps involved in making one of your favorite confections. With all this, you must surely be feeling hungry. And how? Seeing the different phases of chocolate making has made your mouth water. Ah, it just happened to you. You've just taken your bar out of your drawer. You bite into it and feel like a real chocolate expert. White, with spun paste, and it comes from Italy. You certainly recognized it? It's mozzarella, of course. Today, I'm going to take you to an Italian cheese factory where you will make it yourself. Put on your work clothes. Perfect. Take the milk and add rennet, a type of coagulant needed for cheese making, which will curdle your milk. And here's the big surprise. The milk transforms before your eyes and becomes solid. Once the curdled milk becomes homogeneous, you cut it into small strips that you put in tubs in contact with very hot water to melt the whole mass. Then you take this mass and lift it up and stretch it a few times. That's it. You have just obtained a beautiful spun dough that you shape into balls using 2 fingers. Phew, you're still pretty tired from working your muscles. It doesn't matter. You quickly forget your tiredness when you see these beautiful white balls that you must now plunge into cold water to make them firmer. And that's it. You've become a real master cheesemaker. Mustard is one of the most consumed condiments in the world. But, do you really know where it comes from? Well, that famous yellow paste that stings your nose and eyes comes from mustard seeds. Come on, let's follow the path of these little seeds. Once harvested and cleaned, the mustard seeds are crushed and then immersed in a liquid, like vinegar, to ferment. They then begin to release a pungent essential oil. You guessed it, that's where the famous spiciness of mustard comes from. These famous seeds are then crushed and sifted to remove their protective coating. They then acquire the aspect of paste that we all know. This process gives them a bitter taste at first. To get rid of it, the seeds undergo a maturation of 2 to 3 days, then a last mixing which allows to remove the air and to avoid their oxidation. Finally, they are packaged, either in glass or plastic jars, or in pods. And that's it. The little seeds have become an appetizing yellow paste with a very characteristic taste. Speaking of mustard, you must love spreading it on your fries, right? By the way, do you know how those frozen fries you keep in your freezer are made? To find out, let's first discover the steps involved in processing potatoes. Once harvested and received at the factory, these potatoes are cleaned and washed to remove all impurities. Right after this step, they are sorted and separated into 2 families. On the one hand the big ones, and on the other hand the small potatoes that will be transformed into cubes or rings. After that, the potatoes are peeled after being steamed. Then they are inspected by workers, and finally they are cut into long sticks. The fries then go through another, more thorough automatic inspection to ensure that only the best are kept. Finally, the key step comes. They are immersed in water and must stay there for a long time. This makes them lose the sugars they contain. Without starch, our fries are then put in hot water and then in cold water, before being plunged in an oil bath where they cook for about 2 minutes. Finally, they go to the packaging machine where they are put in plastic bags according to precise quantities. And here are our potatoes transformed into appetizing fries ready to be cooked and nibbled. Do you like burgers? While you're even enjoying one right now, I'll tell you how the meat in your sandwich is made. Here you go. You just put it down to watch. So let's get started. You never thought that one day you would discover the secret of those burgers that are said to be full of preservatives and other additives, right? Focus on how the burgers are made in this unit that supplies one of the biggest fast food chains in the world. As you can see, the meat is boned and ground. Then it is mechanically separated from the smallest bone fragments. After its control, this meat is shaped into burgers and put at a temperature of -18 degrees Celsius. The burgers are then packaged and passed through a metal detector to ensure that they are free of foreign objects. Indeed, the manufacturing of these burgers takes place according to very strict hygiene rules. And to check their taste and texture, they are also subjected to taste tests. Their fat content is also checked. You're finally relieved to know the truth about burgers, even if seeing these steps has left you feeling a bit tired. Pack up your sandwich and save it for later. But one thing is for sure, from now on, you'll be eating burgers without hesitation. You've just discovered the secrets behind some of the foods you eat. What do you think about all this? Leave us your answers in the comments. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video.